so like I said, we'll go through a few of the questions that we've been working through in the past couple lessons. So, find the percentage of the following. First, 72 marks out of 90 marks. So every time you guys do a test and I have to work out a percentage, this is the type of thing that I'd have to do. So, in this situation, if I want to know that percentage, I know that I got 72 out of 90. So that's the fraction of what I got. And then I need to multiply this by 100%. You don't have to copy this. This is just some of the questions that were set. So you might have already done these. So this is question 3A. So if you've already done it, you don't have to copy it. Even if you haven't done it, you don't necessarily have to copy it. Just watch what I'm doing to make sure you know what you're doing. So to turn this into a percentage, I multiply by 100. Then we could do what we've been doing, how we make this 100 over 1, and we can do some cancellation to make it a little bit simpler, and we would be able to work it out without a calculator. To save a bit of time, now, since we're not actually doing fractions anymore, I'm going to use the calculator to help me out. So, all I'd have to do is 72 over 90 is essentially just doing 72 divided by 90. So you get 72 divided by 90, and then that's 0.8, so that would be that fraction in decimal. To convert it to a percentage, you then multiply by 100. So times 100 gives me 80. So that gives me 80%. Alright, so you can see that they're actually quite quick when we use a calculator because we don't have to do any type of cancellation of fractions. Alright, the next one. If you wanted to know what percentage 130 years of 5,200 meters. So maybe you're running a 5k run like I did the other day, and you've just started and you've done 130 meters, and you want to know how much of the total amount have I run. You go 130 over the total amount. So that's the fraction of what you've run. If you want to convert that to a percentage, you then multiply by 100. And that will be your percentage. That's equal to, again, you can then just get your calculator, and we go 130 divided by 5,200. Notice that's the decimal, 0.025. If you multiply that by 100, you get 2.5%. Girls at the back, are you watching?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get up.
Alright, the next one, so this was question 4A. If you've paid $1,288 of a $5,600 loan, what percentage of the loan have you paid? So again, you just do the amount that you've paid over the total amount. And that shows you the fraction of what you paid. If you multiply it by 100, again, it will give you your percentage. So we've got 1288 divided by 5,600, which gives me 0.23. Therefore, if you multiply that by 100, it's just going to be 23. So this would be 23%. That was question 4A. Alright, now, with my YouTube videos that I've been posting for these lessons, I get 90 views, and 63 of those views are likes. So if I want to know what percentage of viewers have liked my video, I would go 63 over 90. Alright, that's the fraction of how many people have liked it of the viewers. And then to convert that to a percentage, I multiply by 100%. I multiply by 100, and that gives me the percentage. So therefore, again, you just go 63 divided by 90 equals times 100. You get 70%. So now when we work through these questions, I'm happy for you to have your calculator out and make sure that you're confident in being able to use your calculator to do those. All right, your next test, calculators will be permitted to work out these percentages. It's always good practice though if you're strong with your arithmetic to try and do some of those cancellations in your head without using a calculator. Alright, 10% of 840. Now this is a little different to the other ones that we've been determining. Alright, you know how before, if I had 63 likes out of 90 views, I went 63 over 90. If I want to work out 10% of 840, I don't go 10 over 840 and multiply that by 100. Alright, so question 6 was different. If you want to work out 10% of a value, do we know how to write 10% as a fraction? Good, 10 over 100. So, if we want to write this 10% as a fraction, we write 10 over 100. And then remember from our fractions topic, when we see the word of, what process am I going to do? Multiplication, so I times by 840. Alright, so can you see the difference there? When we're trying to find a percentage of a number, you have to go that percentage over 100 times whatever value you're trying to find 10% of. So 10 over 100 is just 0.1 times 840. You know that you can just move the decimal place one spot, or you could use your calculator. You'll get 84. So that one there might be worth taking note of if you haven't done one like that before. Can people see the difference between that and the one that we did here? So I'll do a similar one. Now, I want 9% of 1,250. So to work out 9%, writing this as a fraction, that's going to be 9 over. If I want to write anything as a fraction, if it was in percentage, good, 9 over 100. And then, because it's of, we say times 1,250 equals, and then you can just use your calculator to do that. So you go 9 divided by 100 times 1,250, and you get 112.5. This one, we want 10.5% of 112 milliliters. Now, whatever answer I determine, since the units here are milliliters, I'm going to give my answer with those units. So again, it's the same thing. Even though this is a decimal, I can still write it as a fraction. I can still write 10.5 over 100. So 10.5 over 100 times, the of means times, 112 is equal to, so it comes out as 11.76, and since we were trying to work out what 10.5% of 112 milliliters is, you have to write milliliters. Alright, so make sure that you put in those units. Now these next two I really want you to focus on because they're probably a little bit more difficult. So if you want to increase 3,700 by 20%, if you wanted to increase 3,700 by 20%, one thing that you could do, you could work out 20% of that value in the way that we've just done it. 20 over 100 times this, work out what that is, and then add it to 3,700. Or, what we could do is our new percentage, if we're increasing this by 20%, we would want to go new percentage equals. So, 100% of 3,700 is just that, right? If I have 100% of that value, it would be 3,700. So I've got 100% of that value, but I want an extra 20%. So I'm going to go plus So essentially, my percentage that I'm trying to work out is 120% of that value. If I'm increasing the value by 20%, I want to work out what 120% of that value there is. Does that make sense to people? So therefore, now this is the same thing. I just go 120 over 100 times the value that they gave me, 3,700, which is equal to, now 120 over 100 is just 1.2. So 120 divided by 100 times 3,700 is $4,440. Yep, I'm recording it. Alright. Like I said, there's two ways you could do it. You can do it like how I've just shown, new percentage of 100% plus 20%, so we're working out 120% of that initial cost, or that initial value. Or you could have done it another way. You could have just worked out what 20% of that was and then added that to your total. Essentially, we're doing the same thing. Alright, and then if we wanted to decrease 75 minutes by 10%, so this is essentially the same thing. The new percentage would be equal to 100% would be 75 minutes, but I want to decrease that by 10%. So I'm going to subtract 10% away from it. So therefore, I'll be determining what 90% of that value is if I want to decrease it by 10%. So then you do what we've been doing, 90 over 100 times the 75 minutes, which is equal to 0.9 times 75 is 67.5. And remember, the initial amount was in minutes, so therefore if I decrease 75 minutes by 10%, I have 67.5 minutes. I'm just going to do one final example. Again, this is all recorded, so you don't have to frantically try and copy it if you don't have enough time to write the questions in. Let me just shut that and I'll reopen it. So, Tom incorrectly measured the length of a table as 43.6 centimeters when its length was actually 42.6 centimeters. Calculate the percentage error in his measurement. So again, this question is slightly different. So he's tried to measure something, but he did it inaccurately. He measured 43.6 when its actual value was 42.6. So if we want to find a percentage error between two values, this is a formula that you can always use. I'll explain what these modulus signs mean in a second. So I do a straight line. That's not a bracket, it's what we call modulus. You go the actual value minus the measured value or approximate value. I'll say minus the measured value over the actual value times 100, and that gives you a percentage. Alright, what does that all mean? So, if I want to work out what the error in his measurement here is, I take the actual value, which is 42.6, I subtract away the measured value, which is 43.6. Now, if I do that subtraction, am I going to get a positive or negative number? If I go 42.6 minus 43.6, negative. What these modular signs around the outside mean is whatever value you get, you take just the positive of that. So this is going to be, if I go 42.6 minus 43.6, I'm going to get negative 1. Because those modular signs are around it, it means I'm going to take the value of positive 1. All right, because we can't, there's no such thing as a negative percentage. We're not going to have a negative percentage. All right, so in this situation, we'll have our actual value of the table is 42.6, and then we're going to subtract away his measured value, which is 43.6, over what is the actual value? The actual value is 42.6. And I'm going to multiply that by 100 to get the percentage error. So 42.6 minus 43.6, like we said, gives you negative 1. But because it's in those modular signs, I take the positive value of that. So what's the positive value of negative 1? Positive 1. So we're going to have 1 over 42.6 times 100, and that will be a percentage, which is equal to, then you just use your calculator, 1 divided by 42.6 times 100 equals 2.35%. Since it's a worded question, you can finish it off by giving a little sentence explaining what the error was. Therefore, Tom measurement was or had an error of 2.35%. That was question 17. That would be as hard as the questions will get.